Jay-Z has become a cultural phenomenon. He has become mainstream in the music industry, not just as a rapper, but also as a record executive and businessman. He has managed to literally turn himself into a brand. He is one of the first rappers to understand the power of branding and make full use of it through his endorsements and business deals. When your vision is clear, you are more likely to work harder and develop new strategies to get there. Jay-Z never stopped. With every album, he sold more copies to sell more merchandise. And with every product he sold, he got more endorsements, more money, and made better investments. This boosted his credibility as a businessman, which is why many of his fans admire and respect him. But under all that glitz and glam, there's a man who constantly shows his true colors, but people fail to see it. According to Dame Dash, who was like a brother to him, Jay is a sellout and a betrayer.
I've been tight about this shit for years. So to be honest, like, if you remember the best of both worlds, you don't see my name on it.
Jay and Dame were more than just best friends. They were business partners. Dame co-founded Rockefeller with Jay-Z and Biggs. After the successful release of Jay's first album, Reasonable Doubt, they sold 50% of Rockefeller to Def Jam. Remember that time when people started calling Jay-Z a sellout after the Brooklyn Nets deal? This was just the tip of the iceberg.
Barkley's deal was one of the most horrible deals ever done, especially in sports.
He owned less than 1% of the Nets, but he had influence. His ties to the Nets and Brooklyn would set his personal enterprise where it needs to be. He played the role perfectly, sold the real estate development deal to Brooklyn, and put his brand and name all over Barclays Center. This created the ideal platform for him to showcase his personal brand, music, and clothing line. It was a win-win. But people were furious. Jay didn't care about the community that raised him. His deal displaced countless residents, and the neighborhood has never been the same since then. According to Dash, Jay only cares about money and nothing else. To him, business is never personal. He wants luxury, and if that means doing some shady stuff, he will do it just to win. He will do whatever feels necessary, even sacrifice loyalty and friendship for personal gain. Even though they made so much money together and were friends, Jay still betrayed him. What shocked Dash wasn't the fact that Jay betrayed him for money, because this is something he has seen happen with other people everywhere. The problem was that the plan was to do things differently at Rockefeller. They were supposed to stick together, but when people started selling each other, the strategy was more than obvious: divide and conquer. Dash said that he was shocked when Jay said he wanted to leave. The two never really argued, so he had no idea what the problem was. He didn't see it coming. According to Dash, Jay is a very cold and calculated individual, someone who would stab you in the back and wouldn't bat an eye, like a person without a conscience. That's the moment when he found out that the people closest to him were working behind his back and were out to get him. But when you take a look at the bigger picture, you will see that this was more about control. Jay-Z got richer and better than anyone. He went from hustling as a drug dealer to owning a billion-dollar empire. At Rockefeller Records, he created his debut album, Reasonable Doubt, which made him a rap legend. Compared to other rap artists who quickly go broke after earning quick cash, Jay decided to invest and create even more lucrative opportunities for himself. His iconic songs are worth $75 million. He became the CEO of Def Jam Records in 2004 and managed to get a separate deal with EMI for his publishing rights. He earned even more money from his art collection, which is worth about $70 million. He also has a massive real estate portfolio worth $50 million. He and his wife bought a $26 million mansion in East Hampton and a Tribeca penthouse for $6.85 million. But that's not all. The couple owns an $88 million mansion in Bel Air, California, and closed on a $200 million Malibu property. This makes it the most expensive residential real estate deal in California history. Because Jay betrayed his own friends to get there, Dame sees him as a self-serving opportunist. Rockefeller did an amazing job because it was real. It resonated with people and the audience loved every track that came out. Here is how the record industry did it. Let's go back to the beginning. According to Dash, he took Jay-Z to every single label and they rejected him, either because he was rapping too fast or was too old. Dash wanted to do it himself and give Jay the platform to succeed. Rockefeller had a clear dream. No one could get in the way. It was all about visualizing success and making it happen. It is art, and no one is supposed to mess with that. And if there was one thing Dame could change about his time back then, was that he would have acted differently with Jay. He would have set better boundaries with Jay. But Jay saw things differently. He and Dame drifted apart because they were always polar opposites. Their initial goal was to make Rockefeller successful. Then their focus changed. They also wanted to grow individually with real estate and other ventures. This put a strain on their relationship. He also said that they didn't have any beef with each other. It was just growth, just a different direction. They grew apart, not in a bad way, and he is happy for Dame. Dame says he wasn't the only one getting betrayed by Jay. He was also trying to make some moves to get rid of Biggs. But Dame never supported Jay in any of his shady tactics. Then Biggs and Jay stopped talking. For a whole year, they didn't speak. This is something not many people know. It was then that Dame realized he had a lot of people working against him out of fear. A group of 5 to 6 people conspired against him because they feared Dame would take their money. And these people didn't have the innovative spirit to create something that could beat his potential. Over the years, Dame had a lot of stuff to deal with. The many court proceedings took a toll on him. Dame wanted to reduce his child support payments. Instead, he was ordered to sell his last shares in Rockefeller Records. XXL got the legal deeds, and it turns out that Magistrate Robert W. Lehrberger decided the sales would be used to settle a $823,000 debt that Dash racked up almost 2 years ago. Here is what happened. In 2022, there was a civil case in which Josh Weber, the film producer, took Dame to court. He sued Dame for copyright infringement. It all started in 2019 when Dash was involved with the movie Dear Frank. The movie featured big names like Columbus Short, Claudia Jordan, Brian White, Lil Durk, and Nick Turturro. Weber stated that Dash tried to pass off the film as his own, even pitching it to many different companies under a different title. In the end, the court ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, and Dash had to pay a bill of over $800,000. But Dash had other plans. According to Weber, he didn't want to pay up. So Weber took matters into his own hands and went back to court so the judge would target his Rockefeller shares. And it worked. Here is what Dame posted in 2022 on his Instagram. He said, "You have to lose some battles to win a war. Stay tuned. #FatLiars. #You'll never be me. Don't ever say you directed my movie." Dash and the other co-founders opposed the idea. They claimed that any big sell-off would have to be approved by the board of directors first. But Judge Lehrberger wasn't having it. He countered their argument and ruled that Dash's shares were his own personal property. Therefore, he is responsible for them. The judge also explained that in a board meeting back in 2021, the sell-off clause was put in place, but Dash didn't show up for it. This put Dash in a terrible place. Rockefeller got 180 days to hand over Dash's stock certification to the U.S. Marshal Service. They were then going to throw them up for grabs at a public auction. According to Dash, Hove did try to swoop in and buy the shares in 2021, but Dash was insulted when he got offered a measly $1.5 million. When I was offered a certain amount of money for my interest in Rockefeller Incorporated, which owns Reasonable Doubt, they offered me like $1.5 million, Jay-Z, and I was like, that's some disrespectful shit, so I guess I have to sell it someplace else. When you take a look at the tabloids, you will see that Dash reportedly wanted to sell Reasonable Doubt as NFT, but the label disagreed. Dash ended up in court once again. The label said Dash can't sell something that doesn't belong to him. They argued that his attempt to sell the album was a breach of his responsibilities and would cause serious damage. They weren't playing around when it came to protecting what they saw as their most valuable asset. But there is more where that drama came from, and from it, we can see just how many people Dash had to deal with. Now, back to Jay-Z. From many of Jay's relationships in the past, we can see that he hasn't been the friendliest guy in the world. Other than his wife, he remained close with Tata and Memphis Bleek.
One thing about you is, I don't care what anything happened, your relationship with Hove stays the same.
Cause I'm a true friend, man. We true friends like Tata, Juan, Emery, like I said, we all from, it's real friendship. Nobody pocket watching.
But he has never managed to keep any other relationship for too long because, as Dame likes to put it, Jay always chooses money over his friendships. Just take a look at his relationship with Kanye. These two have a long history together. They have known each other for 20 years. However, Jay saw the relationship as a business venture, nothing more. It kind of felt like Kanye was putting more into their friendship than Jay ever did. But Jay only hung around with Kanye when it was convenient for him. So there was always this feeling that Jay didn't care nearly as much about him as Kanye did. Not that Jay was being a terrible friend, but he seems like the kind of person whose life revolves strictly around business. Even with the friends he is with, he would go as far as to keep Kanye at a distance, maybe even at bay. Back in 2002, it took some time before Rockefeller Records took Kanye as an artist. Jay-Z apparently wasn't that keen on signing him to the label, which is why people started to speculate that Jay didn't want to give him the deal. If you listen to Kanye's song Last Call, you can see how he explains in his own words why Jay didn't believe he would make a fine rapper. Dame was the one who signed him. Jay, on the other hand, said that if his lyrics didn't live up to expectations, then at least they could use his beats. Kanye was on Rockefeller's roster for over a year without any plans to drop The College Dropout. That all changed when Kanye took matters into his own hands. He made his own music video and advertised it through The Wire. It wasn't until Jay saw the attention the song got that he decided to work with him. Jay-Z decided to clear some stuff up. I wasn't saying don't sign Kanye. I was saying at least keep the beats in-house, if anything. Since then, their relationship has had its ups and downs. Kanye talked about it in his song Big Brother. He called Jay loving but difficult. In 2011, the two worked together on their joint album, Watch the Throne. When Kanye and Kim got married, Jay and Beyonce didn't bother to show up. Ever since Jay-Z dropped Tidal in 2015, Kanye was all aboard the hype train. He was right there on stage with J. Cole and Nicki Minaj, pumping up the crowd for his big debut. But fast forward to July 2016, and Kanye was flipping the script. He tweeted, "Apple, give Jay his check for Tidal now and stop trying to act like you Steve." Eventually, tensions started to rise. At a concert in October 2016, Kanye didn't hold back. He said that his daughters Blue Ivy and North never had a play date with Jay's kids. He said that after he talked about a possible future venture of the Watch the Throne 2 album, but Kanye said the album won't happen because of the Tidal Apple bullshit. Even when Kim got robbed in Paris, Beyonce and Jay never reached out. Here's what Kanye had to say about that during the concert. "Don't call me after the robbery and say how you feeling. You want to know how I'm feeling? Come by the house." After Kanye's outrage, Biggs decided to comment. He told Page Six, "We're both just like, we miss the old Kanye. At this point, with everybody's career, we're a little too old for rap beef." Then, their relationship hit a breaking point when Jay called out Kanye's antics and eccentricity on the track Jay-Z. He raps, "I know people backstab you, I feel bad too, but this everybody attitude ain't natural, but you ain't the same. This ain't Kumbaya, but you got hurt because you did Kumbaya. You gave him 20 million without blinking. He gave you 20 minutes on stage. Was he thinking? Wrong with everybody? Is that what you saying? But if everybody's crazy, you're the one that's insane." Then their relationship took a turn for the worse after the album 444 was released. The two found themselves in another dispute over money. Apparently, Kanye claimed the company owes him over $3 million, and he's even tried to part ways with the music service. But that didn't end well. Tidal, reportedly not having it, threatened to take legal action for breach of contract. Then, Kanye officially decided to cut the cord with Tidal for good. A source confirmed the news, stating, "Tidal's exclusivity rights have been terminated based on what is alleged to be Tidal's failure to honor its financial obligations." In 2017, Jay and Kanye got back on speaking terms.
About Kanye West and your relationship with him. When's the last time you talked to him?
I hate Kanye the other day, just tell him that he's my brother. I love Kanye. It's a complicated relationship with us.
When you take a look at their personalities, you can see why. Jay-Z is more of a discreet guy. He likes his privacy. He had to grow up fast and learn to keep to himself and have this poker face when around people so that he could deal with whatever life had to throw at him. Now let's talk about Kanye. Once he got a taste of fame and luxury, he was hooked. It became his addiction. Not to even mention, he has a knack for starting drama. Then came Kim Kardashian, and it was obvious that Kanye and Jay's relationship would face some problems. Now don't get me wrong, Kim is not a bad person or anything. Just let's be real. Kanye saw that Kim had the same thirst for fame and fortune. She wants to be the center of attention, make sure the paparazzi are always around, and make a spectacle in public. This was as attractive to him as her looks. They were a match made in Hollywood heaven. But as for Kanye and Jay, they were never going to work. Also, in the music industry, many people who are true artists, especially those who've made a name for themselves through their lyrics and business endeavors, tend to look down on people who become popular from reality shows, sex tapes. So it is normal that Kanye and Jay would grow apart. Everyone knows that Jay-Z is not on perfect terms with anyone from the old Rockefeller group, especially Dame Dash, Jaz-O, and Beanie Sigel. But one of the most infamous incidents about Jay-Z was the stabbing of Rivera. In an interview on the podcast My Expert Opinion, hosted by Math Hoffa, Dame revealed the real reason behind that incident that day. In 1999, the world was made to believe that Jay-Z stabbed Rivera in the back because they fought over the fact that Rivera had leaked and bootlegged the album Life and Times of S. Carter a couple of weeks before its initial release. The stabbing happened at the Kit Kat Club in New York City. When stuff went sideways, Jay-Z received 2 charges of assault and was accused of stabbing Rivera. At first, Jay-Z pleaded innocent. If he was convicted, he could have spent 15 years in prison. But the whole incident ended when Jay-Z worked out a plea deal with prosecutors and received a 3-year probation. Jay wrote about it in his memoir, Decoded, back in 2010. Here is what he said. One night, I went to Q-Tip's solo album release party, and at some point in the night, I ran into the guy everyone's been telling me is behind the bootleg. So I approached him. When I told him what I suspected, to my surprise, he got real loud with me right there in the middle of the club. It was strange. He added, we separated and I went over to the bar. I was sitting there like, no the f this nigga did not. I was talking to people, but I was really talking to myself out loud, just in a state of shock. Before I even realized what I was doing, I headed back over to him, but this time I was blacking out with anger. The next thing I knew, all hell had broken loose in the club. That night, the guy went straight to the police and I was indicted. There was no reason to put my life on the line and the lives of everyone who depends on me because of a momentary loss of control. I vowed to never allow myself to be in a situation like that again. Recently, even Rivera broke the silence and decided to speak out about the assault. When he remembered the fight, he said that Jay-Z wasn't the one who stabbed him. He was actually surrounded by 10 knives.
No. Jay-Z was not the guy who actually stabbed me that night.
He tried to clear things up, but suffered a blow to the head with a champagne bottle. Jay-Z was there. He and Rivera did have a conversation while the altercation took place. Jay-Z kept telling Rivera that he broke his heart. He said he had no idea why people started blaming Jay-Z for the stabbing, because he has always tried to be nice and stay away from serious drama. He is also an artist and a very gifted individual. If Jay did in fact stab him, then Rivera wouldn't have had anything positive to say about him. That's because Rivera calls himself a type of eye for an eye kind of guy. According to Rivera, Jay-Z only took the blame for it. Unfortunately, he ended up in this massive power struggle, which had a drastic impact on his reputation. But according to Dame, the real reason behind the fight was something entirely different. He said there were plenty of people in the music industry who were angry with him because he stole their girls. He also explained that people would be shocked to find out just how many fights in the rap industry happened just because of a girl. Dame made his point when he said that the stabbing happened over a female rapper called Charlie Baltimore. What made things all the more complicated was that Baltimore was Biggie's girlfriend, and no one was supposed to mess with that. Dash said that he would have never even been with that woman. Dash also finished his statement by saying many wars in the past have started because of a woman. Well, when it comes to women, this is not the only time Jay has been involved in an incident like that. Dame and Jay's relationship fell apart for a lot of different things, but some of it had to do with Aaliyah. This R&B singer was getting bigger and bigger.
Aaliyah, what's her legacy?
Coolest girl in the whole world.
She was a natural, both musically and in acting. She was willing to step outside the box and become a fashion icon as well as a superstar. She was something special. She had that energy, charm, and raw talent. She was ahead of her time. Jay-Z didn't just want her, he was obsessed with her. And that obsession was more disturbing than you think. Unfortunately, Aaliyah was in the industry since she was a teenager. Although she was able to take her career to the next level and earn some remarkable income, she was always surrounded by nothing but predators. She never stood a chance. She dealt with a whole lot of pain by the time she died at 22, and she had so much more to live for. She worked with many big shots in the industry, including R. Kelly. R. Kelly was bragging about his pedophilia for more than 20 years. He even got Aaliyah to release a track called Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. He got her pregnant and illegally married her when she was just a teenager. A federal jury convicted R. Kelly of racketeering and sex trafficking. He was constantly luring and trapping girls to do whatever he wanted. So he got what was coming for him. The reason he managed to get away with it for so long was because he was rich. He bought the silence of his victims. His celebrity status made him untouchable, and everyone kept their mouths shut. But everyone knew, Jay-Z knew, and when it all blew up, he ran.
Slump anyone in any relationship for $1.
After all these years, Dame Dash is not afraid to talk. He wants to keep Aaliyah's legacy alive. He wants to make sure that her story is heard. You can hear the hurt and grief in his voice to this day, but he went through hell and back to be able to talk about it.
I burned bridges so I don't have to go back.
Let's not forget, the music industry is exactly the same right now. Predators are taking advantage of young, beautiful girls who want to become famous. It's a classic pattern. Well, R. Kelly is not the only one who is turning heads. It seems Jay is going down next. For years, Jay didn't want to say anything bad about R. Kelly. He wanted to stay away from the tabloids as much as he could, but Dame Dash spilled everything.
Aaliyah is key to everything. Aaliyah and I were very serious. We talked about getting married, so I knew exactly what went on.
Dame said that there was more than one occasion where Jay-Z tried to get with Aaliyah. She was gorgeous and hard to get, which made things all the more interesting. Everyone knew she was going out with Dame, but Jay didn't care. He was trying too hard. One insider said that during a party on the 4th of July, which Jay hosted, he didn't show up with a date because he was waiting for Aaliyah to come. When she got there, he was all over her. It didn't seem that suspicious at first. They were friends and were probably going to make some music together. Jay was hugging Aaliyah and there seemed to be a bit of chemistry there, but Dame saw it differently. He thought Jay wanted her and would do whatever it took to get her. Besides, everyone knows that Jay doesn't like to lose. He thought he had a chance and he took it. But at the end of the day, he failed. Aaliyah chose Dame instead. They fell in love. Jay didn't like that. So Jay got with Beyonce and pushed her to be better than Aaliyah. He prepared her to take her place. But then things got weirder and weirder. Rumors were going around that R. Kelly manipulated Aaliyah, her, and forged a marriage certificate so that she would become his wife. This was his only way to make sure that she wouldn't testify against him after getting her pregnant as a minor. R. Kelly abused Aaliyah in 1993 when she was just 13 or 14 years old. Dame met Aaliyah in the summer of 2000 at a basketball game when she was 21 and he was 29, so he knew everything that was going on behind the scenes. A lot of people believe that Aaliyah's death was a setup. Her fame and talent made her a huge threat. Before and during the plane crash, a lot of things went wrong. First, the pilot and Aaliyah's entourage argued about the plane being overweight and overcrowded. It exceeded the maximum weight limit by a couple of 100 pounds. Later, investigators found the pilot had alcohol and cocaine in his system. Aaliyah was drugged and taken on board. Some of her team members handed her a pill, even though she didn't want to get on that plane. She was unconscious when she was put on the plane because, according to witnesses, she was a nervous flyer. These odd circumstances make many people believe that her death was premeditated. The question is, why did Jay-Z start working with R. Kelly on the album Best of Both Worlds when he clearly knew that Kelly violated Aaliyah? Most likely out of spite.
Working with R. Kelly, and they were making so many records together. You know, they made all those records together. They both f***ed Aaliyah. They shared so much in common.
For Dame, enough was enough. He and Jay were just not on the same page anymore. So he decided to take a step back.
Because of the moral challenge and him choosing one way, I knew morally we weren't the same. So to me, Rockefeller was defunct. It was over.
This is where the conspiracy theories kick in. You can tell something is wrong by Jay-Z's lyrics in Glory. He raps, "So there you have it. Shit happens. Just make sure the plane you own is bigger than your carry-on baggage." Sounds familiar? When Aaliyah was at the height of her career, Beyonce was also making headlines. They both wanted to be the best, but there was room only for one. These ladies were friends. Aaliyah was older, so she showed Beyonce how the game works. Now, this may upset a lot of people, but before Aaliyah died, she was dancing, singing, modeling, and acting. She was a serious threat. She was supposed to play Niobe in The Matrix. She was also going to play Sister in the remake of the movie Sparkle. She was looking forward to her future. When she talked about her dreams, Aaliyah said she wanted to go to Egypt. She was impressed with Egyptian history and wanted to see where Cleopatra and the pharaohs lived.
Damn, that was like a full-on dream role. I am a person that loves Egypt. I'm a little bit obsessed with Egypt.
Meanwhile, Beyonce's solo career was just getting started. She couldn't achieve half the success Aaliyah did. Aaliyah also had another dream, to design accessories and clothes with her friend. Now Beyonce is doing that. Jay-Z had all the connections to take over the rap game, but Aaliyah was in the way. After Aaliyah died, he made Beyonce his queen so she could take over the R&B genre, and the two could build an empire together. Then everything blew up in his face. In 2022, R. Kelly was charged with 1 count of racketeering and 8 counts of sex trafficking. He was also convicted of sexual abuse of a minor. When that happened, Jay-Z's PR team did everything they could to make sure to cover his tracks. Since the two of them were constantly working together and spending time with each other, his team had to hide the evidence and fast. If Aaliyah was still alive, she would have transformed the music industry as we know it. She would have definitely been at the forefront, possibly even outshining Beyonce. She would have become a massive entrepreneur and most likely built her own connections. It is easy to imagine that she would also be quite a famous actress. She did an amazing job in Queen of the Damned. She portrayed intelligence and classy sexiness, which would have easily pushed her to the top, most likely making her one of the highest paid actresses in Hollywood. It's very interesting how so many people in the music industry were infatuated with Aaliyah, the R. Kelly saga, the Rockefeller drama, but the infatuation with Aaliyah didn't end there. Timbaland even publicly said that he was so in love with Aaliyah that he married Monique Idlet because she looked like her. It's crazy how all of this happened when she was still underage. Some speculate that Jay stole Aaliyah from Dame, at least in the early stages of their relationship. Nothing serious came from that. Instead, Dame and Aaliyah started talking about marriage very early on in their relationship. They were very much in love and inseparable. When both of them weren't on the road or working on a film or album, Aaliyah spent most of her time at Dame's mansion, the one thing he shared with Jay-Z. Dame was truly heartbroken after she died. He needed years to deal with the pain. From the way he talked about her death during his first interview to the last, the pain in his eyes is still there. That kind of love is hard to find. What do you guys think? Did the secrets Dame revealed hold any truth? Or is he still holding on to something that happened 20 years ago and holds no sway anymore? What do you think about Jay? Do you agree that opportunists have no conscience? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching and see you next time.